traditional American muscle car died in the 1970s, suffocated by strict emissions laws. But the Pontiac Trans Am survived. It outlived its rivals by replacing restricted engine power with unapologetic Hollywood stardom. The story begins in late 1969. Pontiac introduced a high-performance upgrade package for the Firebird, pulling its name from the SCCA Trans Am racing series. For a $725 premium, buyers received a functional Ram Air V8 engine, wrapped exclusively in cameo white paint and thick blue racing stripes. This chart shows the production run of that debut package compared to standard mass-produced models. Pontiac built exactly 697 units, making the original first-generation Trans Am an incredibly rare prize for modern collectors. By the early 1970s, the second-generation Trans Am hit the streets with massive engines like the 455 Super Duty V8, representing the absolute peak of the early horsepower wars. But the environment rapidly changed. Federal emissions laws tightened and the fuel crisis hit, introducing heavy restrictions and an immediate threat for high-performance vehicles. This graph tracks average American V8 horsepower. Notice the steep cliff-edge drop between 1970 and 1975, as manufacturers strangled engines to meet regulations. Without speed, traditional muscle cars lost their identity. Rival models were quickly discontinued, dropping off the market entirely. Pontiac found itself selling a high-performance car with severely restricted performance. The brand had to find a radical new identity, or join the rest of the muscle cars in the graveyard. Pontiac engineers responded to the power drought by focusing on a different metric. They substituted the lost horsepower with pure, aggressive visual attitude. They leaned heavily into aesthetic upgrades, outfitting the second-generation models with prominent shaker hoods and removable T-top roofs. Then, in 1973, they introduced the defining hallmark of the era, a massive, flamboyant hood decal that the public quickly nicknamed the Screaming Chicken. This bold look caught the attention of Hollywood, providing the brand with a massive cultural lifeline. In 1977, the car starred alongside Burt Reynolds in the blockbuster hit Smokey and the Bandit. Audiences across the country were captivated by the aggressive stance and prominent hood graphics of the black and gold special edition model featured on screen. The film generated historic sales numbers for Pontiac. The resulting showroom demand kept the Trans Am financially viable through the darkest days of the smog era. By 1982, the third generation arrived. Pontiac abandoned the bulky muscle car look for a completely redesigned, lightweight, aerodynamic wedge, complete with sharp angles and pop-up headlights. This futuristic exterior made it the perfect television hero. A modified version of the car starred as the artificial intelligence KITT alongside David Hasselhoff in the hit show Knight Rider. While the car looked like a machine from the future on television, the reality under the hood of the early 80s models remained sluggish. But as the decade progressed, technology slowly began to catch up to the car's visual promise. Advancements like fuel injection finally offered a way to generate power cleanly. Pontiac introduced the fuel-injected Grand Touring American, or GTA package, and later released a highly limited 1989 Turbo Trans Am. By borrowing the turbocharged V6 engine from the Buick Grand National, that 1989 model proved American performance could thrive using modern engineering, setting the stage for a full-power revival. The fourth and final generation, running from 1993 to 2002, replaced the sharp 80s angles with a swooping, hyper-aggressive jet fighter exterior. Underneath that sleek shell sat a massive engineering upgrade, the integration of General Motors' LS1 aluminum V8, the same motor used in the Corvette. The absolute peak of this era arrived with the WS6 performance package, instantly recognizable by its bulging twin-nostril hood. That hood intake fed a functional Ram Air system that directly pushed the engine's output to a highly underrated 325 horsepower. By generating Corvette 1970s, finishing its production run at its performance peak in 2002. Today, the car's rich history presents modern collectors with a distinct set of choices, depending entirely on which part of the legacy they value most. Purists can hunt down one of the 697 original first-generation models for extreme rarity, while pop culture fans might seek out a 1977 special edition purely for its cinematic history. For those focused on speed, the later fuel-injected GTAs, or an 02 WS6, offer the absolute pinnacle of the brand's modern engineering. By pivoting when horsepower became illegal, the Pontiac Trans Am evolved into a permanent cultural icon. It outlasted its original era, held on through the darkest decades of American automaking, and managed to go out strictly on its own high-speed terms.